Hello and welcome. My name is Jane Phillips and I'm the manager of the Business Enterprise Center in Owen Sound. We are a program of the Ministry of Economic Development and Innovation, and our partner is the City of Owen Sound. We're part of the Economic Development Department of the city, which helps retain and attract businesses and build our business community. This feature you're about to view is from our panel discussion as part of our Bridges to Better Business event, an event that we hold each fall in October during Small Business Month. Now that you've been in business and this is your chosen career, what has been the biggest learning curve or what has been the biggest surprise in business?
Well, first of all, when I read this question, I'm like, not really big learning curve. There's, no big surprises. Once you're in business, you're going to run into the financing issues, the employee issues. But then I started thinking about it and I'm like, well, yeah, I had issues with valuing my time and letting go and getting my employees to do things and billing customers properly, and the biggest thing is cash flow is what I'm running into now. Is now that I've got to the part where I'm working on my business, my biggest learning curve is actually stepping back, making sure the guys can take care of the day-to-day stuff so I can learn to grow the business in different directions. So yeah, actually when I stopped and thought about it, that's the learning curve is actually, you may be good at what you do, but you really do need to step back and work on your business.
Right. It goes back to what Tom said. It's working, when you're working in your business, you're not working on your business. And I sat in on an E-Myth lecture a couple of years ago when we made the decision we were going to sell. And I thought, I'm not an entrepreneur in any way, because I was working in my business. So we started stepping outside the box, which we should have done years ago, and started looking at what we needed to fine-tune. And one of the things we did was fine-tune. We have 2 employees. We fine-tune everybody's role. I was training one employee to do sales, and she really didn't like it, and I love it. So we fine-tuned what each of us does, and sales are up 53% this year over last year. So we find that really incredible, and we attribute it to that.
Yeah, that's great.
Can you tell me when this learning curve is going to stop? Because in the funeral business, it never, ever stops. And it's the biggest change for me was I came home and started with the family business January 1st of 1991. And in the next 7 years, we effectively tripled our size. And so we went from me and Dad and my mom to 4 other full-time employees plus part-time employees. And so the biggest part of the learning curve for me was dealing with all the regulations, and my word of caution is make sure you know exactly how much each employee is costing you, because it really does add up when you start throwing in Canada Pension and EI and benefits and all of those things. So certainly that would be my biggest learning curve.
The surprise was when I flipped open the open sign for business, I had no idea how easy it was to make money. And I had no idea how easy it was to lose it. Yes, I've had many sleepless nights knowing whether I could make payroll too. Some days, I come home from work and I think, gee, I got paid too much for what I did that day. And for anybody who has been in business for any length of time knows that there are days where, my gosh, I didn't get paid nearly enough for the stress and the worry. But I'm here today to encourage anyone who's thinking about getting into business or who's new in business to face the fear and do it anyway.
Okay, second question. It's always a challenge to manage and move forward, to keep the excitement and interest in your business without burnout or boredom, and to keep pace, and more importantly, keep ahead of the market and the competition. How do you renew, review, and revitalize your business?
We do a lot of networking with our fellow dealers. Years ago when we got in business, no one would talk about what they did, what they sold, who did what, how did you do it. It's not like that now. We're very frank and open with each other so that we can celebrate each other's joys and also help each other through difficult times if a crisis occurs. That's very important. If you don't have that kind of network, you should try and establish it either with people who you live around who have small businesses, or if you're as lucky as I am to have other dealers. There's 350 Invisible Fence brand dealers in North America, so I have a lot of connecting I can do. And the idea is to keep reviewing and looking at what you're doing. You have to, someone said this morning there was a measuring tape. You have to measure. You do. You should set times of the year when you know you're going to actually step outside what you're doing and reflect upon what's happened through the year and why you got to where you got to, so you have some measurement. If you don't know who your referrals are or where your referrals are coming from, start tracking them. I started doing that in 2001. I know exactly where I'm going to put my marketing dollars because I measure that thing on an ongoing basis. And those are the kinds of things that'll keep you going.
Right from the beginning of my business, I started setting goals for myself. So yearly we have a set of goals. We have a dollar figure we aim for. We have some training aspects that I aspire the guys who work for me for. Because our office is stressful, I do encourage the guys to we actually have a number of those stress balls, and they tend to get thrown around the office at each other a few times. Probably at the most professional office, off of the phone or off of when there's other people there, but I think we need to for our business. We have weekly meetings where we go over what the projects in the pipe are, what's new, what new technologies, every job we do, it's a little different than the last one. It's a little newer technology, it's a little newer that we can then turn around and then apply it to older customers. So I guess we kind of have it easy in this from a revitalization. If we don't change, we stagnate. We don't become, it's pretty easy in my business to be better than us if you don't stay current.
In fact, you have to stay more than current.
Yes.
You have to be on the leading edge.
Yeah.
Because all of us, I think, as clients like that would be expecting you're at least current.
Yeah.
But tell me what I need to do next.
Exactly.
Right?
I know we're the leaders in what's called virtualization, where the ability of using one machine to do, one computer to have multiple computers inside it, and it's a really cool technology. Really difficult to get some heads wrapped around, but from a green perspective, instead of buying 5 servers, you buy 1 server. So you're using less power, you're using less space, it's more energy efficient. There's a lot of extra benefits to it. So I guess, so the revitalizing for us is a fun part of our job.
The best business decision you've made, and the one you would have changed.
Okay, please, everybody has to understand that it's still a business, although, that's one of the big challenges I have being in the funeral home owner, is that it is still a business. Back in the 60s and 70s, funeral homes used to use what was called unit pricing, and you just come in and pick the casket, and you had 2 days of visitation in the funeral, and you got the casket. And I can go back and look at the files from 1962 where you could have a full funeral with the casket for $495. That won't cover the newspaper notices most often today. So as the rate of cremation started to increase, that generally means that people aren't buying the same amount of caskets. And to be perfectly honest, the one main knock against the funeral business was that caskets were way overpriced, and I'm here to tell you that that was true. And in 1993, I wanted to change the way we do business by decreasing the cost of the merchandise and simply increasing the cost of the service. Because I'm not here to sell caskets, I'm here to provide a service. And my dad fought me on it for a year, and when I bought the business in 1994, within 2 months I made the change. Within 6 months of making that change, my average sale actually increased $400, despite an across-the-board decrease of casket prices by $800. So I made 50% of it back up, and it was by only putting the emphasis in the right places. Right? If people are coming to me because I sell a casket for $1,495, they're in the wrong place. It's all about the service. So that was easily the best business decision that I made.
And Donna Lynn, the best business decision you made and the one you would have changed to date?
Well, a couple great decisions that I did make was, one was to get into business, and just more recently was to change my direction on my career. And timing it came knocking on my door again, so that was a great decision for me to do, even with the turmoil. I just want to share with you again, the marketing part of it has been one of the best decisions that I've made, whether word of mouth, radio, newspaper. It's been such a worthwhile investment, especially in our small community, in our small town. I think we have an added advantage to that. And now the other thing, what I would have changed.
What would have changed?
Yes,
Yeah.
I would have changed, how I make some of my business decisions, because I'm very emotionally based, and that's where you hear where some of your biggest strengths can certainly be some of your weaknesses. So some things that I have changed over the years is I've tried to take the emotions out of a lot of my business decisions. That's really hard for me.